Hi, beautiful ones. My intention with the Shamangelic Healing podcast is to be a platform that explores real life issues and provides you with valuable insights and practical tools to support you on your journey of healing core wounds and reclaiming your power and manifesting a thriving, impactful life that you absolutely love. You see, it's my dream to inspire millions to shine. So if you find these topics valuable, please take a moment and share the podcast and leave us a rave review. This helps the podcast grow and reach the people that would greatly benefit from these insights. Thank you so much for tuning in and investing in your personal development. I'm right here walking this journey with you. So let's dive into this episode. Welcome to the Shamangelic Healing podcast. Oh, this is going to be a delicious, vulnerable, sweet dive with my dear soul sister, Danielle Paige. She is a soul astrologer and really blends her own form of spiritual medicine. And so go check her out in the show notes. We'll have all the links where you can get connected with Danielle, and DaniellePaige.com. We'll have that in the notes as well, and where you can reach her. Today, we're exploring this whole concept around body insecurities and how to make this journey home to authentic, embracing authentic beauty. And with all the procedures and filters and pressures for beauty to look a certain way, and plastic surgeries and different things happening and all of this pressure, Danielle and I felt really called to just do a podcast on this because she recently had her breast implants removed. And I thought it would just be really powerful for both her and I to just drop in about our journey, her journey, the journey around body dysmorphia and body insecurity and body shaming, and just like have a little time out here and just be like, is this going too far? And where are we compromising ourselves to try to reach a certain unsustainable, unrealistic version of what beauty is supposed to be? And so, Danielle, thank you so much. Thanks for being on the show. And really grateful to have you share your story.
Thank you so much for having me. And I'm so excited to have this conversation because, as you said, it's so needed and it's so important. And I just want to start off with real quick to let people know is that I don't have all the answers and I don't have it all figured out. And I'm still going through my own journey because I'm human. I'm in a body just like everyone else. But I think the most important thing is to have conversation about it, because if this was more available when I was younger, I probably wouldn't have gone through a lot of what I went through.
Yeah. And I
Right.
think that there, without judgment, this is, her and I, we're here to just have a conversation live with you. We would be having this conversation
Yes.
anyway. We've already had this
Yeah.
conversation. And we're like, you know what? I think other women and men could really benefit from just a check in with where things are maybe getting out of hand, or what is the
Mhm.
motivation behind things, so that we can find that this journey back to self-acceptance is not coming from a place of insecurity or unattainable images. And so you recently had your breast implants removed, and I know that's a big decision. That is a big procedure. And what was your motivation behind removing those at this stage of life, at this time?
Yeah. So it was a huge decision and it was a huge surgery. I just think that people think they just pop them out, and that's not actually the case. It was a huge recovery. I'm still recovering. Today is actually 1 month exactly
Well
from the
done.
surgery.
Well
Yeah.
done.
So I feel good now. Still sore and tender, but I really, it was a hit from spirit in 2019 that let me just back up for a second. I went through a huge health crisis. It started in 2017. And I had to learn. So, for people that don't know my background, I had to learn so much about health, things that I really, to be honest, never wanted to learn. I kind of, outsource that to the doctors, which we believe that to be true growing up. It's like, we don't know anything and the doctors just tell us what to do. Right. So I was in that mindset as well. And then in 2017, I got very, very sick, and it wouldn't go away, and it was getting worse and worse. And I come to find out that I had Lyme, and Lyme is horrific. And when you have Lyme, you have co-infections that come with it, and because you have an environment in your body that can create and sustain that. So it comes with mold and fungus and parasites and candida, and heavy metals. And when you have all that, it becomes a perfect storm in your body. So I got very, very sick, and it was a process and a journey for me to learn about health. I didn't really know anything about this. And throughout the years, so 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, still dealing with it, way better, but still dealing with a lot. So I just want to preface this because everyone's body is different. And there are some people that put in implants and right away their body rejects it, or in 5 years, the body's just like, we're done. I have to say that I would have still got sick. And I know that from spirit. I know that from my own connection. I know that from working with medical intuitives, because my soul contracted that to bring me back into my body, which is aligned with everything we're going to talk about here tonight. Okay, so I would have already got sick. Now, that being said, I had breast implants. Did they help anything? No. Did they make my situation worse? Because it's another thing that my immune system has to put energy to, and more blockages in my body? Absolutely. Okay, so that's just my story. I can't speak for anyone else, but I can only speak for me. Yeah. So in 2019, I did get a hit that, they need to come out. Not because they caused the Lyme, but because they're not helping anything. And like, I'm trying to heal myself. And then I have this huge block sitting on top of my heart chakra where all your lymph nodes are. And my lymph nodes were backed up constantly. And if you have a bad gut, you have backed up lymph nodes. They're all connected, right? So I got a hit, and to be honest, I was not ready at the time. It was cognitive dissonance, or I was like, I just, maybe I need to get them out, but I'm not ready. And I share that vulnerably because I get it. We're in different phases in our life, with a lot going on in the world and just our own journey. Sometimes we're not ready to hear everything at the right time. And that's just it, right? So I wasn't ready. And so I told his spirit, because that's like, connect daily. I told spirit, I said, listen, I'm not ready. You need to give me the expiration date when they need to come out. And so what happened is I went about my life and I forgot about them because, to be honest, I was so used to them. I had them in for 20 years that they became a part of me. So they didn't bother me like every day. If I woke up and in pain every day, then obviously I would have gotten them out sooner. But my normal state, which is maybe not a healthy state or maybe a sluggish state, that became my norm. So I actually didn't know any different. And again, people need to hear that because we're so used to, oh, I'm bloated, oh, I'm this, oh, I'm that, but that's actually not normal, right? That's not our normal state, but we get used to it and we accept it as is. So, I had these things on top of me and I just that was normal. That to me, that was my body because I haven't seen myself since I was 23, right? Or sorry, 23. Without them. So I then this year in 2021 around March, I get this strong hit and I knew I'm like, they need to come out. And so I was like, oh man, because it's going to force you to look at a lot of things that you didn't want to. So, and I'll get to that part in a moment, but what I always tell people is, when I was 23, it's not that I actually hated my boobs, and I'm in a different generation. This was a long time ago. This was before Instagram, before Facebook. It wasn't like you needed to have big boobs or anything. It's that I actually didn't like other parts of my body. So to me, what I tell people is, let's just give Danielle a pacifier. Let's give her the perfect, and I put that in air quotes, the perfect boobs, right? Let's put those on her. So then she could get a pacifier and not worry about it and focus on other things, right? So it actually wasn't that I hated my boobs. They were fine. It didn't bother me. It was just like, oh, that was an option. And I was constantly comparing myself to models in magazines, which is hysterical because I'm petite. I'm 5'1" on a good day, right? Strong energy field, tiger, but tiny. So I'm sitting here comparing myself to models that I will never look like. But in my head, it was like, oh, there was a chance of looking like this, right? So body dysmorphia completely and not accepting ourselves. So that is probably, looking back, that's why I got them in. But going back to here in 2021, I got the hit and I knew I wasn't ready, but I knew it had to. And so I went slow. I ended up making an appointment with a doctor in Miami because I was going to be there. And I know several people that went to this doctor. And I said, I'll just go for the appointment. I don't need to do anything. Like I had to talk myself off the ledge. I don't need to do anything. Like if I don't want it, I don't want to, but like, let's just go. And I'm not going to tell anyone. I didn't tell my family. I didn't tell anyone. So I went, and long story short, he wasn't my doctor. He was very compassionate and kind, but I just knew in my heart he wasn't my doctor. But he opened the door. And I left that appointment and I said, it's time. I need to. So that summer, so that was in June of 2021. So that summer, I went to two other doctors, met with one online because one was in Cleveland, Ohio, and the other one was in Beverly Hills, where I live around here in Los Angeles. And I decided on the specialist in Cleveland, Ohio. She is amazing. Her name is Dr. Feng. She is just so compassionate and so kind. And she's been doing this for 20, 30 years, taking out implants even before it was accepted. And she's been mocked and yelled at by the medical community because they always go back to people that are ahead of the curve, right? So that's how I knew she was my girl. And so, anyways, I did this. I spent the whole summer going deep into my wounds of the 23-year-old Danielle that felt that she needed to get them in, and why didn't she love herself, and not to shame myself. And I want to make this very clear. I had no shame for putting them in. It was part of my journey. If anything, on that journey, I ended up trying to connect deeper with my body than I did before. So I have no shame. I don't blame myself. Again, everything we do is part of our journey, and I have acceptance to that. And so this was my path to get here. But as I learned, Spirit knew I was going to get them in, and they knew I was going to get them out. So at the end of the day, I got them out, half for health, because I just knew after all the detox I've done, everything that I've done to heal my Lyme, I basically brought myself back from crawling on the ground, slurring my words. My neurological was messed up, in bed for about a year, literally could not move, crawling on the ground. I brought myself back through changing my diet, working on my self-emotions, healing trauma, doing water cleanses, using an amp coil, post-electromagnetic frequency device, learning about frequency. I did everything opposite than Western medicine told us to do because that was making me more sick, because I did that in the beginning. So I brought myself back, and I knew that I could not keep going on this path if then I still had these blockages in me. Because this is an example that I like to use is, imagine you're in a small hallway and there's a huge boulder in the middle. Well, what I did is I got very smart and creative. I learned to dig a hole under the boulder on each side and over, but the boulder is still there. No matter what I do, I can get around, but you still have a boulder in the room, right? So I had to remove the boulder. And so I got myself to actually a very healthy place, even with implants in, before the surgery, because I knew that my body wasn't going to be able to go through that surgery if I was very weak, because I'm very sensitive. So I got it out for half of health, and then also to regain parts of my soul that I lost, and to connect back with my truth, to connect back with my soul. I did this for the women that were watching me that felt that they need it, though I'm going to say I'm going to do things that people are not going to like because I'm not perfect. So I'm not here to live up to anyone else's standards. I'm living up to mine and God, and that's it. But I also wanted to be an example of, we don't need these to feel sexy. And here's the crazy part. I was preparing myself all summer. I thought I was going to not feel sexy, not feel feminine. And I'm going to tell you, something changed, and I feel more feminine and more sexy now because it's me, and I can't explain it, but it is me.
Yes, I thank you just for sharing the journey.
Yeah.
And I want to visit this piece of, okay, I chose this as a pacifier until I could come to the place of full body acceptance, and of just in the space of like, it's me, and a connection. And maybe in our 20s or whatever age, it doesn't really matter for anyone listening or watching it. There's, when we look at magazines or supermodels, and now with this generation now in their teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, like all of us, where there is social media and Instagram in addition to magazines and film and supermodels, it's just stack of all of this, an ideal of what beauty is. That, yes, for someone 5'1", for someone that, like, we're not meant to all be the same.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
it projects out there, here's what a bikini should look like on a
Yes.
woman. Here's what a dress should look like. Here's what it looks like, at the Academy Awards. That is what beauty is on the red carpet. And with filters and all of these procedures, it's like, what is going too far here? And like,
Yeah.
this is the opportunity for us to just pause and be like, what is my motivation behind what I'm
Yeah.
wearing today? What, who am I dressing for? Am I dressing to impress, or am I dressing to feel good? Am I dressing and making these choices to get approval, to be included? And I think this just goes back to that, young girl or teenage girl that just wants to fit in, just wants to be like, just wants to be included. And there's so much comparison to other girls, or other women outside of us, that it begins a battle with our own body.
Yeah.
Oh, I should have a different color hair, I should be taller. Like, how am I going to get taller if
I
I'm
know. I've said
five?
that so many
You're
times.
like barely five
Yeah.
three, and it's like, and when
Hmm.
I've worn heels, it hurts my back. So am I willing to get those extra 2 inches or 3 inches, and to put my back in pain to look taller? And
Yeah.
it's just like, what is the payoff here? And in the last um in the last 9 months, I've had 5 acquaintances of mine get their breast implants.
Oh,
5, which is like,
yeah. It's a
wow,
revolution. It's happening.
it is a revolution. And
Hmm.
this is why we're
Yep.
having this conversation. And I've also, in the last 6 months or so, friends and acquaintances that have had a lot of botched procedures,
Hmm.
where their lip injection just like went off, and it just looks clownish or uneven, or an eye procedure that has left them not able to blink without pain. And arms being done, and now in South America, there's like these deathly butt lifts, and in Asia, like rib removal. I mean, it's really, it's we live in interesting times. And
Yeah.
I want to speak to just the compassion. I just want to speak to the compassion, the compassion, where we're all bombarded by expectations
Yeah.
and unrealistic forms of beauty, that and filters, and it's just like, it's a lot. And I just want to
Yep.
speak to what each of us feels, the pressure to not age, to look a certain way, to dress a certain way, and for the body to be a certain way, and where that has contributed to a lot of disconnection to our body, a lot of shame around our body, a lot of battle with our body's butt or boobs, and or wrinkles. It's like, look, I'm in my 50s, and it's like, yeah, things are sagging and bagging and dragging. Like,
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
what? I just like, how can we make friends again with our body, whether it's when we're in our 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s? Like, what happens as we age as well, in our 60s, 70s, 80s? What procedures will have to, will be required
Right.
to make us feel okay in our own bodies? And so I want to just acknowledge what you said about needing a pacifier, for your breasts at that time. and and recognizing this is actually in the way of my beauty, this
Yeah.
comparing to everybody else, and this thing that
Hmm.
is supposed to make me feel beautiful. But if I feel tired and sluggish and not healthy, I'm not going to exude beauty anyway.
Yeah.
And so, what is something that you're learning about yourself through this process, that has taken this experience, um, to learn a little bit more? Like, where are you maturing? Where are you seeing yourself differently?
Yeah. And I also want to say again that, neither of us are here to tell people what to do, or what, like, it's your body. I'm all about body sovereignty, so I respect what anyone wants to do with their body. So I think that's really important. Again, this is a conversation to be like, at what point do we keep trying to be so perfect, right? I mean, listen, I'm still going to do things, and some people are not going to agree with it, and that's okay, because I don't, it doesn't matter. I'm not coming here saying I'm perfect. What I am saying, that this was part of me coming back to myself. So what I, to answer your question, is something that I learned and am learning, is really just this acceptance on such a deeper level, such a deeper level that I didn't even think. And, also, I want to be very candid. I did get a lift. Mine were definitely going south at 43. And even the doctor was like, yeah, and they're like a little big and heavy for you and little dropped. So we can do a lift. So I did get a lift, and that's my choice. So I'm not going to, I didn't want to have them removed without the lift. So with that, I actually think they're so cute and they're so nice, and they're very small. And it's just this deeper level of acceptance that I never really felt before. And again, it is, we were talking a little bit before this, it is still new for me. You have to remember, now it's been 4 weeks versus 20 years of looking at an illusion in the mirror. So I am doing mirror work. I look at them, I touch them, I talk to them, I talk to my body. And, it's a learning curve. There's a lot of things in my closet that don't fit. Did I like the way that I would fill out dresses and bras? Yeah, I'm not going to lie, because I don't think a lot of people will tell you that. I'm going to be very honest. I did like that I could fill up bras, and I wore these little cute tops, and I can fill them out. So it's different experience now. Now, does that mean I look any less than? No, it's just different. So again, I want to share that for people, because people, if they do get an explant, they will go through that process as well. It's different, but different doesn't mean ugly. Different doesn't mean I'm not as sexy as that, or as beautiful as that, or as luscious, or as feminine. It's just different. But I
I
feel like,
want to be with that for a moment, of just allowing our body to go through different experiences. Puberty is an experience where
yes,
we start at war with our body, of, oh,
yeah,
it's bleeding, it's growing hair places, and
yes,
when I was doing rite of passage for a young girl that was coming of age, and we had a little sister circle, and the women were just sharing about their process of coming into womanhood. And one said, listen, I was a D plus, at in fifth grade. And another woman was like, I'm 28 and barely an A.
hmm,
And another sister was like, this breast is almost two full sizes different than this breast. And
yeah,
I just think it was so wonderful for this young woman to hear there are different versions of body, and
yes,
that
so
there's
important.
different versions. There's A
Yes,
cup, D cup, double D.
yes.
There's a
And
D
when
and a
you get
C.
pregnant and then you breastfeed and then you stop breastfeeding, I've had so
Right,
many women say they look completely different, and they had huge boobs and now it's deflated, and it's just like different cycles.
right. And as a mother that had twins, my
Yes.
belly, from being a gymnast and having like really flat, stomach that was like very. And then it was just like, wow, the stretch that my, like, miraculous that my body was able to stretch like that,
Yeah.
and grow two humans in there. You
Yes.
bet I have stretch marks.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I had to come to this place, Danielle, of like, those are my beauty marks,
Yeah.
that I was able to grow two humans that I absolutely adore, and was the exchange that my body changed, and that it's okay, whether it, and a surgery here, or, you know different of us have scars, whether we had different surgeries on our body,
Oh, I have
elective,
scars on my breast
yeah,
now. Yeah.
yeah, elective or non-elective,
Hmm.
that our skin has scars or pock marks, or a mole, or wrinkles, or whatever. And I want to really spend just a moment on this, our body changes, whether it's
So
with
huge.
hormones, whether
Yes.
it's with age. We were talking about our neck going,
Oh,
wow,
there
the
are
neck
things on
is,
my neck that I don't even know where this came from. And here we are,
and here
folks.
we
Here we
are.
are.
And this is, not like we were talking earlier that our teenage selves were and adult selves and perhaps those listening too can relate to always comparing ourselves to somebody else. And in
Yeah.
that space, a rose will feel insecure and irrelevant and ugly in the presence of an orchid or a daisy
Mhm.
if we're comparing ourselves to something that we're
Yeah.
not. And there's another piece here of comparing ourselves to a younger version. And like, what
Yep.
does this body look like at 30? What does it look like at
Mhm.
40? What does it look like at 50? And can I make friends with my
That's it.
body? Can I
That's
make
it.
friends with the next? I'll say the next. With
I
the
know.
fact that I can't see a fucking thing. And I like, can I make friends with the fact that these eyes are, yes, a beautiful blue color, but I can't see shit without
Yes.
glasses. And then, that's making more wrinkles because I'm squinting
Yeah,
all the
yeah.
time. And I'm like, you know what? These wrinkles here, Danielle, I just call them smile lines
Yes.
because it means I've smiled and I've been happy. And yeah, I've probably squinted at a lot of menus in a restaurant.
Yeah.
Like, I think that there's an opportunity for us to
I
make
love what you said
friends.
though. That's
Yeah.
that's so huge about the friends because that's what's happening. I'm developing a love for my body that I've never had before. And this to me is powerful. Again, I have gray hair. I dye it. I'm sorry if that upsets someone and that wants to yell at me and be a troll because I'm not perfect in your reality. Do you know what I'm saying? And I'm very honest when I said I have Botox and I'm weaning off it. So like I'm not perfect and I'm doing, but like I'm honest about it. People won't say it. I've gotten smaller and smaller and smaller. In fact, I'm having someone on my live next week to talk about like facial exercises because I think that's important. So I'm showing alternative ways. So I'm not perfect and I'm not trying to be, but it's learning to love myself in a way and become friends with my body that I have never. And that is so beautiful. And that's been incredible. And again, I'm not perfect, so don't try to make me because that's what
I
keeps
hear that.
happening. People
Yeah,
keep
we get
coming
to,
out, people keep saying stuff, and that's their own projection. Most people won't have this conversation that we're having, but we're having it.
and this is making peace with, okay, yeah, I'm going to dye the hair, or making
Mhm.
peace with, I'm going to shape eyebrows or wear mascara. And I think that what we're sharing and what I'm hearing you say is just make it peace with, make peace with where you are and where your body is. And
Yeah.
also like, okay, yeah, if you're wanting this procedure or like a lift, a bra thing, exercises things, serum,
I
uh,
love that. To me, I'm
I,
a Taurus. I love taking care of myself.
yeah,
Doing
that's
facial
different,
exercises is the same. I mean, that's so beautiful. That to me is the biggest act of self-love
right? And
because I
this
get
is
to
like,
touch my body and
right?
adorn
And
my
to
body.
like love our breasts.
Yes.
And that doesn't mean that we let it all go to shit and we don't
Totally. That's
care.
the
Because I
important
think
part. That
there's like a self-care part that
yes.
says, okay, I put the jade roller
I love
and
the
I
jade
do a
roller.
little mask because I love myself,
Yes.
not
Yes.
because I hate myself.
Exactly. It comes from a different vibration of adorning yourself like a queen, taking care of yourself. I am, since I went through my health crisis, I am the queen of self-care. To what I eat, to my environment, to how I sleep with my high thread count sheets. Like I am the queen of taking, I'm a Taurus, I'm a true Taurus, and I love taking care of myself. I will get roses in my house just because I buy them for myself. You know, I put scents on, essential oils. I'm like, oh my God, this is like a queendom.
Right. And this is a whole nother level of self-love
Yeah.
and self-acceptance. And just I love the idea of really doing deep mirror work for all of
Yes.
us that looks at our favorite parts and
Hmm.
just like, look at you, you beautiful goddess. And also that we're also willing to turn. look at the side angle, look at the
Yeah.
back side,
Yeah. Yeah.
look at the scar, look at the wrinkles,
Mhm.
whatever it is, the lines around the lips, whatever it is, the shape of your nose, how your eyebrows are changing or your hair color is changing, and be like, how can I make friends with you? That doesn't
Yes.
mean we don't stop taking care of ourselves,
Yes. How
of
can I
like,
accept
okay,
you?
I've gained 30 pounds. It's like, okay, are you okay? Is there a reason why you're emotionally eating? Is there a reason? Is there a stress you haven't dealt with? Is there an emotion that is creating a buffering or a sedating, and
Mhm.
like learning to lean in and ask, well, what is this about? Why are you feeling this insecurity or this pain or this anger that is, added weight, let's say, for example, or now that you've had baby number 3 and your belly's looking like this, or your breasts are looking like this, of like, okay, let's be with our body, instead of, I don't want to deal with that my breasts have changed, or that I have gained weight, or that there's wrinkles there. It's like, what if we actually leaned into those insecurities and said, how can I love this part of my body or this process that I'm in? Okay,
Yeah.
there was an injury, there was a surgery, there was a setback, or I had a trauma in life or a stressor in life, and there was a change in my body shape or whatever, or a bunch of gray hair just landed there. It's like, okay, how can I be gentle and compassionate with how my body's responding, and what does it need? How can I love the part of
Mhm.
my body that I'm at war with? And those are the things that I think are the growth opportunities, and to be at peace. If you're like, okay, I'm going to do a lift, a tuck, a thing, a coloring, or eyelash extensions, or whatever it is, it's like, but to ask, is this coming, what place is this coming from?
Right.
Am I at peace with my decision, and is my decision causing any health ramifications that I'm going to need to pay for later?
Right. And I want to add something. I think there's what, since probably a lot of people don't know my story, with through my health crisis, I had tons and tons of inflammation to the point where it was sometimes really hard for me to look in the mirror because I did not look like myself. Yet I still went on lives. I still did things. And it was hard for me because I would see myself and I would know that this is not who I am. And it felt like I was wearing a rubber suit. So I like around me. So I didn't even feel like myself. I actually think last time I was in Arizona and I met you, I was going through a hard time, really hard time with my health. And I was struggling. And I think you can tell that I was going through. And I was uncomfortable in my body because I had so much inflammation. And it really affected my mood, right? But I still tried my hardest to show up. And what I learned from that process is even though I was uncomfortable with a lot I was going through, and when you have a physical, it definitely affects your mental health as well. I really learned and tried my hardest that it didn't mean I was disgusting or I was bad. And I reason why I say that is because when I was younger, my body dysmorphia was so bad. I'm talking in my teens and 20s that I would, and I'm being very honest here, I would look at myself in the mirror and I probably now, I mean, my leg is like full of veins, right? I probably had 2 veins on my leg at the time, and I would cry and I wouldn't leave the house. I wouldn't wear shorts for like in my 20s for a really long time. And that breaks my heart. I feel so bad for that younger version of Danielle, but what I would do is blame it on me, and I would almost mean that I was disgusting and I was this. So
Yeah.
through this process, having smaller breasts now, which I think are super cute and fun, but having smaller, and even though sometimes things don't fit or it's still getting used to it, I'm not making it mean I'm less than. And that's what I
Right.
want to share with people because I did that in my teens and my 20s. It made me feel that I was not worthy of love, or I was not worthy of this, or I couldn't go out because I didn't want people to look at me. I mean, it was really bad. I mean, that's what started my eating disorder. I have a whole podcast on my eating disorder in my 20s, and it was never about the food. It was always never about the food. I just like to eat. So I think I used that. If I liked to drink, it would have been about alcohol. I didn't like to drink. I liked food. So I used that as a numbing device.
Mhm.
Right.
You're not
So
alone
it's
there.
just,
You're not alone there, for
yeah.
sure. Using food as a numbing device, or the abstinence of food,
Yes.
as a form of punishment for not being skinny enough, or
Yes.
eating a French fry. Now you have to pay the price, and like
Yep.
that, like where we're body shaming ourselves. And I appreciate that you said this, this whole thing about just being present with accepting, okay, this is me right now. It's a puffier face, it's got some inflammation, and not always having a past version of it, like that's me, that's the one,
Yeah.
that's the me I love, but also like, okay, this is me after 3 months of having my second child. This is me after like going through a divorce and emotionally eating, and this is me after a health crisis, or I'm going through a health crisis. This is me after losing a loved one, you
Yeah.
know after a 3-year bout of cancer, and it took a lot out of me. It's like, you know what? Yes, this is me today. This is
Hmm.
how I look and feel. This is how my body, my mental, my emotional, how it looks in my physicality. Like, this is me today. And I think that that gives us some acceptance instead of denial that this is who I am today,
Yes.
and that I should be this other version of me 9 months ago or
Yeah.
8 years ago. And going back to what we were talking about earlier, that comparison to somebody outside of ourselves or a younger version, and here a past version of ourselves, to beat ourselves up for not looking that way or being that way. And it's like, what if there was such of a softening in that place that
Yeah.
says, yeah, this is what my ass looks like, this is what my hair looks like, this is the amount of puffiness or wrinkles that looks like in this moment, and to
Yeah.
not be at war with where I am today. And that doesn't mean that there isn't an intention and a journey to get our health back, or
Hmm.
get our energy back, or like turn self-care routines back on if there was a reason for many months or years that got put on hold, to take care of others or to be in a work thing. And it's like, okay, how can we make friends with where our body is today? And that doesn't mean we don't still have visions
Yeah.
of of it evolving and growing, but where is it today? And where can there be an acceptance that this is me? This is what I look like.
Yep. It's the softening, even like basically spirit pretty much told me this in so many words. I'm paraphrasing here. It's not that we are not allowed to do anything, right? It's that if we didn't do that thing, would we still be okay? Like
Yeah.
it, like meaning right now, like my gray grows out really quickly, and there's lots of times when I have like 2 inches of gray because I'm like I didn't have time to get there. I'm going to tell you in my 30s, because I started getting gray at 20 something. It's
Wow.
just it is what it is, And in my 30s, I would have never walked around like that, and now I'm just like it doesn't matter. I'm like, sure, maybe I like it a little bit better when it's covered, but like if I didn't get there for a month or two, three, I don't really care. Like it doesn't, I'm okay with that. And that's the difference. Like if I would have been like, I can't go out, nobody can see me, like that's the vibration that they don't want. Right.
Yeah.
That there's a difference with that. And I'm like, oh yeah, my gray, like I've been on dates and I'm like, oh, my gray is like out to town. I'm like, I don't care. Like I'm not like, okay, I didn't have time, or my nails chipped, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't have time. And like, this is
We're
me.
not sorry,
I
right?
would have never like done that in my 30s. And now I'm just like, hey, I'm glad you get to see like this is the real deal. Like I can't even pretend anymore.
Well, and that goes back to the pacifier, of the pacifier is the pretending. And it's
Yeah.
like, the people closest to me are going to see
Yeah.
the real me, the
Yes.
sweaty me, the
Yes.
wake up, look like this, the tired, cranky, this whatever
Hmm.
it is, the inflammation, irritation. And it's just like, what, why are we hiding those parts of
Yeah.
ourselves when that's what is real as well? And that is part of the problem when we're not being that authentic, to be
It's
transparent. Like you and I are being really
liberating, let me
transparent,
tell you.
like about like not having a filter on, and or just being authentic with, yeah, yes, I put makeup on, I put mascara
Mhm.
on today, and I am giving the illusion that my eyelashes are longer than they are. I'm giving the illusion that my cheeks are rosier than they are, or my lips are this color instead of just their natural color. And if we can be at peace with both versions, that yes,
Yes,
love to look beautiful, I love to do these things, it feels good, and also can go to the grocery store with nothing on,
totally.
and work out and
Running into
have,
exes at Whole Foods or Air One here happens a lot when I have nothing on. It's always the days when I have nothing on.
and like embracing that and not
Totally.
hiding the
And I
scars.
laugh. I'm like, hi, how are you?
Right. And this is one of the things that my grandmother, like a super role model for authentic beauty, Danielle, for me, she lived to be 105,
Yeah.
and her beauty shined from the inside.
Yeah.
Her eyes, her heart, it what, and everything's sagging and bagging and dragging. I mean, she's 105, right? Things are inflamed for sure.
Yes.
There's scar tissue,
Yes.
but there wasn't scar tissue around her heart.
Mm,
There was not a filter about
yes.
how she saw the external world, that it
Yeah.
needed to be a certain way. There was not a filter that she was ugly because she was having brown spots and wrinkles, because this is the woman that I wanted to be around the most, because there was so much love and self-acceptance and acceptance. Hey, let's go play, let's take a walk, let's play a game. And authentic beauty is so much more than just what our hair color is or what our lips are doing, and whether we have a wrinkle or not. And I'm grateful that I have a role model as a woman for what growing older looks like. It's a feeling from the inside that no procedure, no makeup, no bra is going to change, because she wasn't trying to be
Yeah.
different. And because there wasn't insecurity about who she was, that made her that much more
Yes.
beautiful.
But that's the thing. It's the glow from the inside because you could have all the things I mean, listen, LA, it's a dime a dozen. There are women that look so perfect, and I say perfect in air quotes,
Yep.
right? And then you go and there's like not a lot going on there, not everyone, but I'm just saying, I mean, if you live in LA, you see it. And it's like, well, where's the heart? Where's the soul? Like, where's the connection? And I have to say that since I had this procedure, so many more men are messaging me and telling me like that is the most attractive thing I mean, I'm being hit on. I'm like literally healing. I have my ace bandage on. I'm draining my scars. I'm like, and I have men literally hitting on me nonstop because they're like, that is so attractive because it's authenticity.
Right, that self-acceptance,
Yes.
that level of self, yeah, this is me, this is my messy self,
Yeah.
this is this is working out, this is my ass when it's not shoved up into Spanx, like,
God
and
bless me with a big ass. I'm not going to lie. Like, it's a thing. Like,
yeah,
everyone thinks it's fake. And I'm like,
I'm
I would tell you by now, it's not fake.
right. Yeah, like the ass, it just keeps
Yeah.
getting, bigger. And I'm like, whatever. But it's the choice of like, am I feeling good from the inside? Am I taking care of myself? And
Yes.
my ass gets to this point where it's not like, oh, that's because that looks like J-Lo's ass, or
Right.
like some Kardashian ass. And it's like, is it the healthy ass for me?
Yeah.
Or is it indicating that I've been lazier, I'm not haven't been moving as much? And like, looking at the body, it tells a story,
Hmm.
it tells a story. And sometimes, like this one beautiful shamanic elder that had the blessing of training with in Peru, an elder man and ayahuasquero in the jungles, and also this elder woman in the high plains at Lake Titicaca. And the lines on their face told the stories of their wisdom, their
Mm,
journeys. The
yeah.
scars were their stories of what challenges where they overcame, how many times they smiled, how many children they have, how much stress they had and overcome. And I looked into the map on their face
Yeah.
of where they've been. And that's why I'm sitting at their feet, is to learn from their
Yes.
experiences.
Yes.
Not, oh, you're not pretty enough to be an influencer that I will, go to your mastermind to receive your,
Right.
wisdom from. But they wore
Yeah.
their wisdom on their face. They didn't hide their pain. They didn't hide their heartbreak. And
Yeah.
they also weren't trying to fill in their life experience.
Yeah.
And I see those lines as a map of history. And can we see our scars
Yeah.
as pride of where we've been? And that if there's, a wrinkle, a sag, a bag, a scar, it's like, yeah, that's been not only who I am, but it's where I've been. And
It's beautiful.
yeah, and I think that that's been really powerful over the journey, is to see what healthy aging looks like in role models that are truly in their body, embracing their
Mhm.
wholeness and not
And
hiding it.
it's a journey. And I have to say, something that's coming up now, if you don't mind me sharing, is that, us coming back into acceptance with ourselves is beautiful. And us coming to acceptance with other people, of allowing people to be on their journey without judgment, because I actually see a lot of women attacking other women, and I'm going to be very candid about this. Throughout my journey with my health, my, like I said, my face gets very inflamed. I've had so many people be like, you have fillers in your face, you have fillers in your cheeks. And here's the thing, I don't have fillers in my cheeks, and if I did, that still would have been my choice. But to go through what I went through with my inflammation, not even feeling great, and then having to have all these women attack me because all of a sudden my face is so puffy and they're saying I have fillers in my cheeks, that was very hurtful. So I think that this journey is not only about us loving ourselves, but having compassion for other people, because the amount of judgment that I have gotten, when I literally felt like I wanted to cry before I did a live because I was very insecure, but I did it anyways. And again, even if I did have fillers in my cheeks, that's my decision. That's not for anyone to yell at me for, because when we're yelling at other people, that's just proof that we're not actually accepting anything about ourselves. And women are keep doing that, and that is the opposite of sisterhood. That is the opposite of whatever. I have a lot of friends that still have breast implants, and I will never shame them. I will never. I'm just here if they ever want questions. I'm here, and I love them with if they have them, if they have without, with or without, because that's their journey.
Yeah.
So I think as women and as sisters, we need to stop projecting our own self-hatred that we really have for ourselves onto other people, because that has been painful
Yeah.
for me. When I'm like, my face looked like literally I gained 20 pounds, and I'm like, it's all inflammation, and then everyone's accusing me of getting cheek implants or whatever, and I'm like, this is just crazy.
So this is a thank you for bringing that up, because it's
Yeah.
another form of body shaming, and that's the
Yeah.
projection. Whether it's shaming for being skinny,
Right. Yeah.
shaming for having implants, or shaming for um, you know putting your body out there,
Mhm.
or being more conservative with it. Like,
Right.
that's a personal choice. And I really appreciate that you brought this up, that it's like, yeah, if if there's if there's procedures that you're doing, and that's your journey. Um if there's an insecurity that you have, like, and you're compensating for it in some way, like, that's your journey. And
Exactly. And we should not shame and scream and yell at other people, because all that does is show that our own wounding and our own trauma. And there's a lot of that online. That's why I'm bringing this up. And I'm honestly, I've had it. I've
yeah.
had it with people projecting their stuff. I am not someone's punching bag. And, people need to look in the mirror. And I'm just going to keep it real, because it is not okay to do that to sisters. Not okay.
Right. And this just amplifies the insecurity that we're all feeling in the first place, that
Right.
stemmed way
Exactly.
back of, I'm not enough, I don't fit in, I've got to
Hmm.
change something about me. And so that if you do change something about you, or if you don't, and you're shamed for you're gray, or you're shamed for, oh gosh, please, I had this one guy, a friend of mine, we were talking at this restaurant here locally, and we were talking about dating, and you know that whole process of dating, and like online, all of this stuff. This is years ago. And we had just come back from a hike where we're just sweaty and connected with nature and this sisterhood. Just had like a great morning hike, super soulful, really beautiful, sweaty, no makeup, just like being
Wow.
outdoorsy. And this guy in the booth behind us comes around the corner. He had been overhearing our conversation, and he's like, "Look, if you really want to bag a guy, put some makeup on that, wear a dress, put on some spiky heels
Wow.
and some hot red lipstick, and maybe you'll get a guy." And I was like, wow, okay.
Wow.
Thank you for that. And it was also shaming being
Hmm.
natural.
I know.
That was also just shaming, like, look, if you're going to get a guy, you better put some makeup on and be different. So there was also just
Yes.
shaming for
Hmm.
us being natural. And it's like, if that's the guy that I have to dress up to look
You don't
like
want that.
that ain't my guy.
Totally. Totally.
And
Like,
so I
mhm.
like, this is shaming in a way that has any expectation that this is what beauty looks like. It looks like makeup and heels, or it looks like all natural,
Mhm.
or it looks like this size breasts, or you always have to have makeup on or have your
Right.
brows shaped this way. It's just like any projection of what beauty is, natural or, you know, uh glamified in some way, altered in some way, is just our process and our journey. So I really appreciate that you saying that. And
Thank
our
you.
invitation today is the question: is any part of the motivation that's coming from that around how we each see ourselves in the mirror, is
Yeah.
any of that motivation coming from a battle with self, from
Mhm.
taking on other people's judgments or an unrealistic external expectation of beauty? And if that is, there's an opportunity, totally optional, to revise, upgrade, and liberate. Well, what is my version of authentic beauty, and to give zero f's about
Mhm.
anybody else's version.
Yeah.
um, and I love that you said that, like, look, hey, whether it's inflammation or fillers, my choice.
Exactly, and that's the thing, it's the shaming and the screaming at people and the entitlement that other people have a right to say anything about anyone. That is literally just a reflection of self-hatred, because no person that is comfortable and content with who they are would do that to anyone else, and that is not okay. That is not okay.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. What we're needing to cultivate, not only within this women's circle, but also with men, because,
Mhm.
we're projecting the expectation of a man to look a certain way or a woman to look a certain way. And it crosses over to our brothers, whether that is a partner, whether that is a brother, whether that is, a colleague or a family member, where it's just like, can we give some more grace for us to just be on our journey and to have different versions of what it is to be woman at different stages,
Yeah.
and different versions of beauty. And God had it right when there were so many different flowers created in the garden.
Mhm.
There's some flowers that
That's so
blossom here in
beautiful.
Sedona 2 times a year, and there's some like the agave, which might take a decade or 2 decades before it blossoms. Um, and some are these orchids, and some have fragrance like roses, and some are daisies. And like, where can there be a celebration for
Yeah.
diversity instead of like the projection of conformity?
Yeah.
um,
It's so
and so
beautiful.
tell me, what is, besides mirror gazing,
Mhm.
and self-care, and just like a, whatever that looks like, what is something that has really helped you accept where you are today?
I think it's a lot of, we're all very mental. We're in our head. We're busy. We're reading stuff online. We're doing stuff. So for me, it's making a conscious effort. I've been working a lot on embodiment of literally just turning everything off, whether I'm sitting on my bed, whether I'm sitting on the floor, and just coming back in, connecting with my heart. Because I've done this for so many years, is that I'm like, again, I'm so mental. I'm moving to the galactic realms. I'm getting information. I'm not connected with my body. And that's why my Lyme and all that was contracted to bring me back in. So I sit and connect and I breathe and I look down, I say thank you. And I'm just, for me, this has been a game changer. And it sounds so simple, but we don't do it. We're in our head, we're in the mental realm, and we're just running around, running around. So for me, just to even stop and acknowledge and connect, that's been the biggest game changer. And it
Yeah.
doesn't need to be something so profound. Like, you don't need to pay for a coach and spend $30,000. I mean, sit, close your eyes, connect with your body, touch your body, and love on yourself and
Yeah.
be in there in that moment. There, that's free. Just gave you some stuff for free.
I love that. Just connect. And I think
Yeah.
this is valuable, just to put our hands on a breast, on the belly,
Yep.
on the eyebrow, on the lips,
Hmm.
like on the booty, like
Hmm.
the ankles. It's just like, hey,
Yeah.
two things that I like to do is thank you.
Mm.
Thank you, feet. Thank you, ankles. Thank
Yes.
you, like belly, uterus. Like, thank you, abs. Like, thank you, pelvic floor. And just go into the parts of the body and say thank you instead of, hey, you should be different. And
Yes.
so that, like, we can go in and say, hey, thank you to this part of the body. And also, another thing that I like to do is just interview different parts of the body.
Mm.
What do you need?
Yeah, I do that a lot with my heart, so I should do that with the rest of my body.
Yeah, like
Ask
breath,
my heart. Hmm.
because you said lymph nodes are all around here, it might
Hmm.
be like, because when you get massages, usually they're not doing a lymphatic draining around your breast tissue. And it's like, maybe if we like sat with just connecting with our breasts, it might be like, can you bring some blood flow in here? Can you drink more water? Can you
Yes.
massage this one little part that feels stuck?
Yeah.
And to just put our hands on our belly and like, wow, this is my womb. This is my belly. This is where my uterus is. And for men, like, just to be okay with, yes, this is the size of my body. This is the size of my legs or my calves. And
Hmm.
men have body insecurities too.
Absolutely.
And like, where can we interview a part of our body that maybe we're
Mhm.
having a disconnect with, and say thank you, first of all, and what do you need? How can I love you? Is there any message you've been trying to communicate with me?
Yeah.
um, and I think that's really valuable, because sometimes we'll get a clear indication, oh, it needs more rest, or it needs stretching or oxygen. And a whole self-care routine can come from just body interviewing. So what
Mhm.
advice do you have? And this is really, it's not just about teenage girls anymore that are, looking at Vogue magazine. This is about all of us that are constantly bombarded now today with social media and with Hollywood media and magazines. And so we're like, it's even bigger than it used to be.
Yeah.
And it's not just hitting the insecurity of a 12-year-old or a 14-year-old girl. um, what advice would you have for women that are constantly being bombarded with these images? What advice would you have wanted to hear your 12-year-old self, your 23-year-old self, from an auntie that had been through it and knows a little more? What advice would you give to somebody in those situations?
Yeah. I would, I don't know if I have the right words. I'm going to try to put this in the best way I can, but like, at what point will you put the sword down? Meaning, like, at what point will you stop going to war with yourself?
Mm,
At what point? Because you do get to a point, even if you had the perfect boobs, perfect butt, perfect this, perfect that, you're probably still not going to see it anyways. Do you know what I'm saying?
mm,
So at what point can you truly love and accept yourself? And I don't think that concept wasn't around that much when I was younger. So that's why we're sharing now, is like, at what point can you love and accept yourself? Because that's a different vibration. And we know everything in the universe responds to vibration. So when you really, I like to call it locked and loaded, when you get locked and loaded with that vibration, and that doesn't mean you're like, oh, my belly is a little big and maybe I would like it a little smaller, but it doesn't mean it needs to be perfect, right? It means I still love myself and accept myself. And I know that I'm worthy and beautiful. And when you get to that vibration, that's going to shift. And then you're going to call in different experiences. So it's everything's vibrational. I can still be like, oh my God, yeah, like my stomach's rolling over my pants, but like I am so beautiful when my stomach is rolling over my pants, right? It's vibrational. So at what point will you put your sword down? At what point will you truly just the journey of love, journey of the human journey and being on earth is the journey of self-love. That's it. Like the real, I mean, there's more, but like that's the main thing. It's this journey of coming back to wholeness with yourself. And
Yes.
that's part of why I got this out is because I knew that I couldn't come into complete wholeness with them in anymore. I just knew, but I wouldn't have said that at 28, 30, 32, 33, right? That's why we have to do things when we're ready. And it was my time. And so now I'm starting a new cycle of my life. And I even know that, and this freaks people out because I already know that I'm still going to have a daughter. Already, talks to me all the time. Her name is on my necklace. So that's still coming. And so that's going to be another version of me as well. And I also got this out to make sure I clear out all those toxic chemicals in my body, because people who have breastfed with implants in, but I just know that that's not something I wanted to do. And so it's just this journey of truly self-love because no matter if you get the boobs or not, there's always going to be something else. So it's just like put the sword down and love yourself the way you are. And that is so radiant and feminine. And listen, I'm learning, I'm in the place where I'm loving myself so much more. And I have way more wrinkles on my neck, as we talked about. And yet I'm still loving myself so much more than the 34-year-old Danielle who didn't have those wrinkles on the neck, right? Way less insecure than that girl who was probably in a bikini showing off. But like, this is truth right now.
Mm. I love that you said just this is a journey of self-love
Yeah.
and
Of
I think
remembering.
and self-worth and that you don't have to change yourself for love and acceptance because if you're
Yeah.
loving and accepting yourself,
Yes.
the right people will love and accept
Yes.
you. And if
Yes.
somebody else expects you to look different or to change to be to benefit from their love, then you're going to self-abandon to do that.
Yes.
And then you've lost yourself and you'll
Mhm.
always be self-abandoning to get somebody else's love and acceptance. And it's like, if that's an inside game, self-love and acceptance, and then we adorn, we self-care, we
And it feels good and it
do
feels like
what
a
we feel right.
queen. It feels
Yes.
like a queen rather than a frantic energy of like, I have to look good. I have to like I remember the old Danielle in the 20s going on dates. It was like, oh my God, I had to be perfect. I had to look perfect. And now it's like I get ready and I'm like, no, I'm a queen. Like I'm a queen, with the great like I'm a queen. And honestly, he's gonna be lucky to be around me. And honestly, I'm excited to be around him as well because let's just bring this vibration together.
Right? And if somebody doesn't see that, that's okay. That doesn't mean
Yeah,
that you're
totally.
not beautiful. They're looking for a different flower. That's
Totally.
cool.
Yeah.
And you don't have to self-abandon to be something you're not, because
Mhm.
then that
Yep.
begins this whole rabbit hole of compensating to fill the void. And so I
Yep.
love that you said that your advice is just self-love and self-acceptance. And I would add to that, you don't have to change for anybody to
Yeah.
get external approval or love. Get your own approval and love, and then you'll attract those people that are your people. And then you can be you. And that when you're really you, that's your most radiant, attractive self. Like I was on the
So much.
land yesterday and this beautiful daisy with its yellow, so bright and gorgeous. It was
Mhm.
just this bee's all, oh, hello, it was just
Yep.
diving into the beautiful nectar of that flower. And that doesn't mean the other flower that was 20 feet away isn't beautiful. But in that moment, that bee was really attracted to that flower and
Mhm.
that nectar. And because it was open and vibrant and shining. It was available. And if we're putting all the masks and all of the filters in life,
Yeah.
then our authentic beauty isn't the vibration of it isn't getting to be seen. And so in that is that there's a lot of authentic vibration. So Danielle, you've been amazing, and
Thank you.
thank you so much for your vulnerability, your wisdom, your
Thank you.
authenticity, and your honesty, and really vulnerably sharing about your journey and what's brought you to here. And you're an amazing soul astrologer. And when you come back, I know I've been waiting for you to come back to Sedona next time, because
Oh.
I want to have my reading in person. So when you come back next time, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Let's tell people where they can find you.
You can find me on Instagram at I am Danielle Paige, and that's Paige. And or my website has all the information at yeah, I was gonna say I am, no, just
And we
DaniellePaige.com.
will have that in
Yeah.
the show notes, so go and
Yeah.
check that out. And if this was valuable for you, listening or watching, if something landed, if it triggered you, if it spoke to you, please share it. We want to hear your comments, because we're here to just learn and listen and grow together about how we can, as a tribe, love ourselves and others more authentically and powerfully. Like Danielle and I are on this journey of trying to figure this out, and we're tripping over the shit every day.
Every day.
We're tripping over it every day. And that's why we're like, I think we need to talk about this, because I'm still tripping over it left and right at my
Yeah.
age and what I'm going through, and trying to make friends with my body as it changes, and
Hmm.
trying to make friends with like others as well, and their choices, and it's a journey for sure. So if this was valuable, please like it, please share it, take a screenshot of the podcast and tag us in it, and give us your comments, share it with somebody, and please leave a review so that we know how we can continue supporting you. If this was powerful and meaningful, thank you so much for supporting. Want to thank Danielle for her wisdom and her grace. And also, if you are needing support with things like this, you can come and do private sessions here with me in Sedona at shamangelichealing.com. You can find me on socials, Anahata Ananda, and also you can watch this on YouTube and listen on, Apple Podcasts and Spotify and all the things. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We love and appreciate you. You are beautiful just how you are.